Better Daily, where we work hard in our minds, bodies, and our spirits to become 1% better every single day. Download the app and join our Betterment family at betterdaily.live to catch the video version of these podcasts. Here's your host and my dad, Alex Van Houten.
What is up, Betterment family? This is Alex Van Houten in Better Daily Live. Happy Monday. It is Mindset Monday, and the mindset today is hold the line. I'm really excited to bring this mindset to you today. Before we get to the mindset, it is related, but I do want to say happy Father's Day to the fathers here in the Better Daily community and to the fathers who are listening to the Better Daily shortcast. Now, if you are listening to the shortcast, this is several weeks late for you, but I have good news. If you want to join us for the messages as they happen, please go to betterdaily.live and join our community here at Better Daily. You can join via the web app, or you can also join in the iPhone or Android app. To be a part of the community is free, and then there are some nice goodies for those who supercharge their subscription and go premium, who want meal plans and exercise programs and access to past seminars and workshops. It's an awesome place to be. We would love to have you. So if I'm late in wishing you a happy Father's Day, it's because you need to be a part of our community here. But those of you who are joining me here in Better Daily, happy Father's Day. Thank you very much for being a mentor and a coach and a teacher and a leader. And even if you're an imperfect father, because we all are, even if you are, I appreciate the spirit of fatherhood that you bring to the world. Fathers are very important, and that is actually what brings this mindset out today. So I appreciate Jordan Peterson's podcast, and he just let out an episode. How about released? He just released an episode with a man who has written several books on issues related to manhood and masculinity. He's got The Boy Crisis is a really powerful book, and then The Crisis of Masculinity in the West. And unlike many of the people writing about manhood and masculinity, he actually has a lot of bridges into the camp of feminism, and is, I might be wrong about this, but I think he's the only man. He's got a PhD and whatnot. He's the only man who's actually been invited to be a part of the official and national board for feminism. It's very interesting. And to hear him speak, because if I told you that and then you're like, well, I think there are a lot of misguided tropes around gender studies and the role that men and women play in the household, or the role that men and women should play in the household and in the workspace and in government and blah, blah, blah. Most of the conversations around that are too intense one way or the other for me. And I don't mean too intense via conversation. I mean that the belief systems that are brought to the table oftentimes are so intense that they could care less what anybody else thinks. And that's unfortunate when it comes to communication. But on this podcast, Jordan Peterson spent some time talking to this man specifically about why it is that mass school shootings and that sort of domestic terrorism is perpetuated by young men exclusively. Because many people would say, oh, it's the destruction of the family, or oh, it's, violence in video games, or oh, it's, XYZ thing. But the truth of the matter is our young men and our young women are all exposed to the same societal pressures. So why is it that young men are the ones who are perpetuating this thing? And they have a really good discussion about the psychology of it, about the crisis of masculinity in young boys, and then also what might lead a young man to work toward fame and a deluded sense of self that might lead them down this path. It's a very, very interesting conversation without getting too gut-wrenching, in my opinion. But my mindset comes directly from that. Hold the line. And the reason I'm bringing this mindset to you is because he was talking about, and by he, I mean the manhood expert that Jordan Peterson brought on, who has seemingly bridged the gap between the feminists and, supporters of the spirit of the patriarchy, so to speak. And I say that in jest, by the way. He was describing the role of fathers in this whole thing. Because he goes on to talk about how, yeah, it's the young men who are doing these large-scale atrocities. However, one thing they all have in common is absent fatherhood. They don't have a father in the home. And so he and Jordan Peterson are trying to unpack why that might be a thing. And there's a lot of different things that fathers do in homes. Fathers increase the vocabulary of the children in their home. It's very interesting. They did a very powerful study in developmental psychology where they looked at children raised in fatherless homes versus children raised in homes where the father was present at least half of the time. Okay. And that's not a lot, by the way. I'm not talking about the dad who's always there, who works out of the home, maybe has roles switched with mom and is the primary caregiver. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a household where the children have access to their father at least half of the time. And they looked at vocabulary at the 3rd grade level. And what they found is that children in homes with a father have about twice the vocabulary, right? 3,000 extra words, plus or minus, than the children who don't have a father in the home. And the researchers argued basically that one of the things that dad does is dad brings foreign words into the home, and by using those foreign words, and by, I don't mean foreign as in like different languages, I mean foreign as in words that the children haven't heard much of, and all of a sudden they hear that word and it kind of sticks with them and they try it on for size and do different things. My dad wasn't around very long in my childhood, but I remember being about 5 or 6 years old and saying words in kindergarten and 1st grade to my friends, and they're like, what does that mean? I'm like, I don't know, my dad says it. And it wasn't, bad words. It wasn't like, curse words and stuff. It was like the word indubitably or bodacious, which I don't even think is actually a word, just a weird thing you pick up from Ninja Turtles in the 80s. Or tubular or stellar or interesting or whatever. These words that dads use that will actually make an impression on the child. And so dads actually raise the vocabulary of children in the home. Another thing that dads do is dads almost primarily engage in rough and tumble play. Wrestling, tickling, throwing. I remember Gabriel was like 2 months old, right? And he's this little baby thing, and he's just barely learning how to smile. And I was like, woohoo, yay! And I tossed him on a pillow on the couch. Well, the kid didn't even have head control yet, and he started crying when, it was like a 3-inch drop. Okay, I didn't like chuck him across the room, but anyway, it was like, too soon for that. And Kristen was like, what'd you do that for? I was like, I was just trying. I don't know. Most kids eventually like that sort of thing. And then a month later, I did the same thing. I waited a month. I did the same thing, and he lit up. His face got all smiley and stuff. And I was like, haha, he likes it. And it made Kristen so nervous. She had carried this thing in her belly for 9 months, and she had nursed it and all those things. And she's like, stop throwing my baby on the couch. I'm like, he likes it. So you want me to stop doing something that he obviously enjoys? And well, she's like, well, okay, you got it, but don't hurt him. And so I got to learn how to rough and tumble play with Gabriel when he was really young. And it wasn't long after that we're wrestling, and he's sitting on my shoulders, and I'm scaring all the grandmas in Hobby Lobby by holding him above my head because he liked that too, and that would keep him from crying. And so all these different things that dad does and mom generally does not. I'm not saying moms don't, but I do have a memory of being 12 years old, again, raised mostly in a fatherless home. My mom's trying to tickle us and wrestle with us or whatever. She grabs my leg and I drag her across the floor in the hallway and slam her into a table. And that was the last time my mom and I wrestled, because she was like, I can't wrestle with you, man. You're too rough. And it was all in good fun. Like, everybody was laughing, but she was like, and I'm good. And so thanks, Mom, for the attempt. I appreciate you. That's something that dads do, though. And rough and tumble play is tied indirectly to the manifestation of ADHD. It's actually a well-known thing within the developmental psychology community that children who get to regularly engage in rough and tumble play actually have a much easier time focusing and paying attention when it's time to focus and pay attention. In fact, in juvenile rats who are not allowed to play, they manifest behavioral disorders like ADHD that can be easily treated with Adderall. And so there is a prevailing theory around fatherlessness and the rates of ADHD that has to do with the amount of rough and tumble play that children get to engage in, and how that might actually have a attention and activity focusing effect on children. So that's pretty wild. Dads seem to have a role not just in rough and tumble play, but in helping children to arrange their attention and focus so that they can actually pay attention and to learn, specifically young boys. So that's really interesting. But the mindset I bring to you today, the hold the line mindset, comes from the other thing that it seems like dads do. And again, this list could be very long, but this is a short cast and I'm trying to keep it short. I know I might be failing, but I'm doing my best. So don't give me too hard of a time. Dads do something called boundary reinforcement. Boundary reinforcement. And the expert on Jordan Peterson's show was talking about the very interesting study where when moms set a bedtime, they actually set it earlier than dads when dads have to set the bedtime. So let's say mom sets the bedtime at 8. Dads tend to set the bedtime at 9. What happens, though, is in real life practice, the moms end up putting the kids to bed later than dad, even though dad sets the bedtime later. How does that work? Well, the researchers who studied these households where mom was setting the bedtime versus where dad was setting the bedtime is that mom would set the bedtime earlier, but she would be more lenient about the bedtime. So, let's say it turns out to be 8 p.m. and the kid goes, "Oh, Mom, I didn't do my homework." And mom's like, "Well, I don't want you to not have done your homework. So, okay, go ahead and finish your homework." And they finish their homework and it's 8:30. And then the kid says, "Hey, can you read me a story?" And mom's like, "Yeah, you did your homework, so I'm going to read you a story." So then it's like 9:05. Then the kid gets ready for bed and then the kid goes to bed at 9:30. Well, dad sets the bedtime at 9 p.m. And what the researchers found is when the kids did their delay tactics or whatever it is, "Oh, Dad, I forgot to do my homework," or "Hey, will you read me a story?" It's like, "Look, you've had all afternoon to do what you need to do. Sorry, tough noogies, go to bed. It's 9. And you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to go to school with undone homework and you're going to feel what the consequences of that are. And next time you'll do your dang homework. But I said bedtime's at 9, so you're going to bed at 9. Good night." And I know that might be a little harsher than maybe some dads speak, but the point of the research study was that dads hold the line. Dads do something called boundary reinforcement. And I'm not saying that moms don't do this. I'm saying that moms by nature are generally more lenient. I remember growing up in a single parent household, I remember this being particularly stressful on my mom. Like, I'm a dad now and my boys have a mom, and I know how much stress it would be on my wife to have to hold the line for my boys. Oftentimes that's when I have to step in the regular running of our household, is when a rule or an expectation has been laid down, to step in and say, "No, sorry, you knew what the rule was. You knew what the expectations were. And now you have to face the consequences for that." Moms don't like doing that. It goes against that sweet, cuddly nature. And I'm not saying moms are all sweet and cuddly. I just mean that biologically speaking, moms are wired to say, "Oh, you're an infant and you need me and you're crying. There are no expectations. There are no boundaries, no lines to be held. I take care of you. I accept you unconditionally." Dads hold the line. Boundary reinforcement. That's what it's called in developmental psychology. And the man was talking about how there's this common misconception that moms have unconditional love. They accept you no matter who you are, where you are in life. That idea, you always have a soft place to land, so to speak. Moms do that. But he was saying that dads get a bad rap because it's not unconditional love. It's like conditional love. I will love you if you do X, Y, Z. And that's not it at all. He was saying dads have an unconditional love for who you were made to be. And dad is working hard to help you hold that line, because it's hard to become who you're supposed to be. And it's not easy, and it's difficult, and it takes hard work. And so this man was talking about how dads hold the line. Dads create the ability for children to reinforce their own boundaries. That thing inside of you that says, "I'm going to get up tomorrow morning and run." And you wake up tomorrow morning and you don't want to run, but you do it anyway. You reinforce the boundary that you created for yourself. You actually discipline your mind and your body to stick to what it is that you intended to do. That's what dads do. And I wanted to implore you today, regardless of whether or not you had a powerful father figure in your life, whether it was a coach or a teacher or a pastor, maybe there was a woman in your life that stepped into the role of fatherhood. I know some women who are hard as nails, man, and whether or not a dad's doing his job, they will hold the line. Whether you've had that in your life or not, I want to encourage you, because fathers might be imperfect, but the spirit of the father, the perfection of reality that loves you and wants to see you become everything that you were made to be a good steward of everything that you've been given, that perfect fatherhood spirit, that one holds the line and wants to see you discipline yourself. Stick to your guns. You said you were going to do something? Do it, and do it well. Don't half-butt it. Let's get this thing done the right way. And I don't even have to tell you what that right way is, because you already know. You already know what you need to be up to. You already know where you're not holding the line. So stop it. Hold the line. Guys, this has been Alex Van Houten in Better Daily Live. Thank you guys for joining me for this Mindset Monday. I hope that you had a wonderful Father's Day. I hope that you honored the fathers in your life, the coaches, the teachers, the mentors, the pastors who poured into your life and taught you how to hold the line. And if you didn't have that, I hope that you can find that spirit in yourself. Make it happen. Tomorrow's Nutrition Tip Tuesday, and until then, it's just 1%. You got this.
Thank you for joining us for 1% Better today. Don't forget to subscribe for the podcast. Leave us a raving review to tell others how Better Daily has helped you in your journey. If you want more Better Daily, download our app and join our Betterment family at betterdaily.live. Use code POD to get 25% off your subscription. That's POD, all caps, to save 25% on your subscription. We all have a cross to carry. It's lighter when we do it together. Go to betterdaily.live today.